November 30th, 1939. The Soviet Union invades Finland with overwhelming force. Stalin has sent 750,000 soldiers, thousands of tanks, and hundreds of aircraft to crush this small Nordic country. Finland has 180,000 soldiers, almost no tanks, and a handful of outdated planes. On paper, this isn't a war. It's an execution. The Soviet commanders expect the campaign to be over in 2 weeks. They've brought marching bands to parade through Helsinki once the Finns surrender. They haven't even issued winter uniforms, because surely the war will end before winter really sets in. They're wrong about everything. Especially about one Finnish farmer who's about to become the deadliest sniper in military history. His name is Simo Häyhä. He's 5 foot 3 inches tall. He's 33 years old. He's a farmer and a hunter from a small village near the Russian border. He doesn't look like a soldier. He looks like someone's friendly neighbor who might help you fix your tractor. But in the frozen hell of the winter war, over the next 100 days, this small farmer will personally kill over 505 Soviet soldiers, most of them with a rifle that doesn't even have a telescopic sight. The Soviets will call him Belaya Smrt, the White Death. And they will come to fear him more than they fear tanks or artillery. This is the story of how one man with an old rifle and perfect patience became a legend, how he survived everything the Red Army threw at him, and how a nation of 5 million people fought the Soviet giant to a standstill, one bullet at a time. To understand Simo Häyhä, you need to understand Finland in 1939, and why this tiny country refused to surrender to the Soviet Union. Finland had only been independent for 21 years, having broken away from Russia after the Russian Revolution. The Finnish people had fought for their independence, and they weren't about to give it up without a fight, but they knew they couldn't match Soviet numbers. So they planned to fight differently. The Finnish military strategy was simple: make the invasion so costly, so bloody, so difficult that Stalin would eventually negotiate. They would use the terrain, the winter, and their superior knowledge of the forests to turn Finland into a death trap for the invading army. And Simo Häyhä embodied this strategy perfectly. He wasn't going to win battles. He was going to make the Soviets pay for every mile they advanced, one soldier at a time. Häyhä was born in 1,905 inches, the small village of Rautjärvi, right on the border with Russia. He grew up farming and hunting. The forests of southern Finland were his backyard. He knew every tree, every rock, every ravine. He'd spent his entire life hunting elk and deer in conditions that would kill most soldiers. Before the war, Häyhä had done his mandatory military service. He wasn't a natural soldier. He was too short to fit the uniform properly. His superiors noted he was quiet, methodical, and an exceptional marksman, but nothing suggested he would become legendary. After his service, he returned to farming, joined the local civil guard for reservist training, and competed in shooting competitions. That was his life: quiet, rural, ordinary. Then the Soviets invaded. Häyhä was mobilized immediately as part of the 6th Company of JR 34, a Finnish infantry regiment. His company was assigned to defend the Kala River, a strategic position that the Soviets needed to capture to advance deeper into Finland. The Finnish force at Kala numbered about 32 men per kilometer of front. The Soviets attacked with entire divisions. The math was absurd, but the terrain favored the defenders. The Kala area was dense forest, frozen swamps, and narrow paths, perfect for ambushes. Perfect for a sniper. Häyhä's weapon was a Finnish M28-30 rifle, a variant of the Mosin Nagant. It was a good rifle, reliable, accurate. But what made Häyhä special wasn't the rifle. Other Finnish snipers had better equipment, proper sniper rifles with telescopic sights. Häyhä refused to use a scope. Why? Because a telescopic sight has glare. In the winter sun, reflecting off snow, a scope can give away your position. Also, you have to raise your head higher to look through a scope, making you more visible. And scopes fog up in extreme cold, or the lenses can ice over. Häyhä used iron sights. Just the basic open sights on the rifle. This meant he had to get closer to his targets, had to be more precise, had to account for wind and distance without magnification. But it also meant he was nearly invisible. His tactics were methodical and patient. He would arrive at his shooting position hours before dawn, moving silently through the forest. He'd dig a small hide in the snow, just big enough for him to lie prone. He'd pile snow in front of his position to create a natural berm that concealed his muzzle flash. Then came the clever part. Häyhä would pour water on the snow in front of his position. In the extreme cold, it would freeze into ice. This prevented his rifle from kicking up snow when he fired, which would give away his location. He also kept snow in his mouth to prevent his breath from creating vapor clouds in the freezing air. And then he would wait, motionless, for hours. In temperatures that dropped to -20, -30, sometimes -40 degrees Celsius, most men would freeze to death. Häyhä would wait, watching Soviet positions through his iron sights, waiting for a target. When a Soviet soldier appeared, Häyhä wouldn't shoot immediately. He'd watch. He'd calculate distance, wind, the soldier's movement pattern. He'd wait for the perfect shot. Then, one squeeze of the trigger, one kill. And before anyone could figure out where the shot came from, Häyhä was gone, moving to a new position. The Soviets started losing men to an invisible killer. They'd be in their positions, and suddenly a soldier would drop dead from a single shot. No sound of a rifle shot, or at least nothing they could locate. No muzzle flash, no scope glint. Just death appearing from the white forest. Soviet officers tried to figure out what was happening. Was it multiple snipers? Was it artillery? Some kind of new weapon? The Finnish defenders at Kola weren't retreating. Every attack was met with devastating defensive fire. And soldiers kept dying from perfect headshots and chest shots, one at a time, all day long. It was Häyhä. Almost always Häyhä. He was killing 5, sometimes 10, sometimes 15 Soviet soldiers per day. And this wasn't even his only contribution. At night, or when Soviet forces got close, Häyhä would switch to a Suomi KP, -31 submachine gun, and fight in close combat. His confirmed kills with the submachine gun brought his total over 500, though exact numbers vary. Let's put this in perspective. The average combat soldier in World War II might get a handful of confirmed kills in their entire service. A good sniper might have 50 to 100 kills over years of combat. Simo Häyhä killed over 505 Soviet soldiers in about 100 days of combat. That's an average of 5 kills per day, every single day, for over 3 months, in the worst winter in decades. The Soviet commanders became obsessed with killing him. They started calling him the White Death, and his name spread through Soviet ranks like a curse. Soldiers were terrified of being sent to the Kola front because of him. Soviet troops would refuse to leave their positions during daylight hours because of the fear that the White Death was watching. The Soviets tried everything to kill Häyhä. They brought in their own counter-snipers, experienced marksmen with the best equipment the Red Army had. Häyhä killed them all. They tried artillery strikes on suspected sniper positions. Häyhä would wait out the barrage in a different location, then return to his hide and continue shooting. They even tried a massive artillery bombardment of the entire area where they thought he was operating. Carpet bombing the forest with shells, it destroyed acres of woodland. It killed Finnish soldiers. But it didn't kill Simo Häyhä. Think about the psychological impact this had on Soviet forces. You're a Soviet conscript sent to conquer Finland. You've been told this will be easy. Instead, you're freezing in a forest. Your supply lines are breaking down. Finnish ski troops are ambushing your columns at night. And there's an invisible sniper who might kill you at any moment. Every time you stand up, every time you move, every time you have to perform any task that exposes you, you're wondering, is he watching me right now? Is this the moment I die? That fear was as effective as the actual kills. Soviet morale at Kola was shattered. Units that should have overrun the Finnish positions with pure numbers instead became paralyzed by fear. But Häyhä wasn't invincible. On March 6th, 1940, just days before the war ended, his luck ran out. He was in one of his sniper positions when a Soviet soldier spotted him and fired an explosive bullet that hit Häyhä directly in the face. The bullet entered through his left cheek and exited through his jaw, taking out several teeth and part of his jawbone. The impact was catastrophic. His comrades found him unconscious, his face destroyed, blood everywhere. They carried him to a field hospital, expecting him to die. Häyhä should have died. The wound was massive. He'd lost half his face. He was unconscious for 11 days. The doctors did what they could, but in a field hospital during wartime, resources were limited. Everyone expected him to either die from the wound or from infection. He didn't die. On the day the war ended, March 13, 1940, Simo Häyhä woke up. His face was ruined. He would need years of reconstructive surgery. But he was alive, and the war was over.